In today's episode, testing the UPS. If it is too large, then why is my computer able to access it? Owner of company needs a talking to. Effing machine won't give me my effing money. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Testing the UPS. So, back in the before times, in the run-up to Y2K, I worked for a call center in SoCal. I had been part of the crew that was going around to each of our 1,000 plus workstations and confirming or patching the BIOS to stave off the Y2K bug. Our largest client, still a world leader in telecom, was rightfully paranoid about Crash's general call availability. To this end, they wanted confirmation we were ready for all the potential disasters Y2K would bring. As part of that, we tested our UPS system several times. We had several banks of batteries for the servers and network infrastructure, but these were rated for only about 15 minutes of power, while the backup generator kicked off. It took 5 or 6 minutes for the generators to come up to operating temperature and be ready for the load they were intended to handle. The first time we ran it, there was a mechanical failure, and the genset didn't get up before the batteries faded. The second time, we found a wiring fault, and not all the server racks were wired to the genset. Third test worked great, everything went as planned. Fourth test was done in front of the client reps on a weekend. After that, we did a full-up live test in the middle of week in front of the client's regional VPs. That was an extended run, lasting most of my shift. Y2K came, and by this time I was promoted to a floor supervisor. All hands on deck on NYE, 1999, just in case the apocalypse happened. It didn't. We all let out a collective sigh of relief, and we went on with our lives. Until March 5, 2000, when Southwest Airlines Flight 1455 overran the Burbank Airport runway, rolled across the street, and knocked down some power lines. We lost power, but the batteries kicked on, genset came up, and our employees restarted their workstations without dropping a call. All planned for smooth transition. Until about 15 minutes later, when the genset spun down. People started scratching their heads, and then about 5 minutes later the servers started shutting down from loss of battery power. Apparently, after all the testing we did in the prep for Y2K, no one thought to refill the fuel tanks for the generators. Oops. If it is too large, then why is my computer able to access it? I recently received a phone call from a user experiencing low disk space. I ended up having to explain why storing 4K video on a low-end Chromebook does not make sense. I understand that you want to have a local copy of the video available, but the file is too large and your computer is not capable of playing 4K video. I can convert the file to a lower resolution for your Chromebook. User: No, I do not want you to convert the file to a lower resolution. I want to be able to view the files as I always have. Did anything change recently? User: No, nothing changed. User: We have the events once a month, and the videographer gives me the original file on a USB drive, and I copy it to my computer. User: We almost didn't get a recording of the last event 4 events, because the last videographer quit, and we had to find a new one last minute. Looking at the file size of the videos, I see what the problem is. Your new videographer is recording at 4K resolution. This produces extremely massive files. Your old videographer was recording at DVD resolution. User: Yes, I want high resolution just like my DVDs. This is not just like your DVDs, it is considered ultra high resolution, and you do not know any equipment capable of playing that resolution. The files are too large for your computer. I would suggest keeping the original on the USB thumb drive, and I can create a DVD resolution file for you to keep on your hard drive. User: If it is too large, then why is my computer able to access it? Your computer simply plays the resolution it is capable of playing. User, I have a meeting in 5 minutes, I'll have to call back, but I find this extremely unacceptable that suddenly my computer is now unable to play high-resolution video when it worked perfectly all last year. Goodbye. Owner of company needs a talking to. I'm pretty new to this Reddit, but I feel at home. So I've been in IT since the mid-90s, mainly support and management of support. This happened late 90s. I was working for an IT recruiter, one of the biggest at the time. We had just fitted a firewall for the first time, shows how long ago, that logged all users browsing. I was called into my manager's office thinking the worst, but was happily told that I needed to have a word with the owner of the company. The reason I had to have a word was because A, the senior IT staff couldn't stop laughing, B, they thought it was funny to send me, and C, I had been there only a few months. So it was I that had to go and tell someone that was in the Times 100 richest people list that he had to stop browsing his very special interest sites during the day on his work computer, as IT were flagged every time he visited one. He took it on the chin, laughed, and asked if I'd got the short straw, and let me on my way. Effing machine won't give me my effing money. This one happened when I was employed in technical support for a large UK bank, so I think it belongs here in TFTS, although it's a bit different. I was prompted to share it by a Twitter post about being contactable while on holiday vacation. So back in 2007, Mrs. OP was invited to come visit her Canadian cousin just outside Vancouver, so we Mrs. OP, her sister and brother-in-law all flew over, 7,000 kilometers in 12 hours to stay with her for a few weeks. While we were there, we made a side trip for the weekend across the border to Washington State in the US of A. This entailed getting hold of some USD spending money, so we queued up at an ATM. I got mine, then brother-in-law stepped up with his card literally right after me. Cue much wailing and gnashing of teeth. I know I've got money in my account, hand it over, you effing machine. But no joy, so he borrowed some of ours and the holiday continued. He paid us back a few days later when his card was working again. So, we get home and back to work I go, just in time for the cleanup after a pretty major disaster. A whole string of DASD, hard disks, had been taken out by a controller failure, and they'd had to rebuild the data from a set of backups and transaction files. OP, wouldn't it have been faster to fail over to our disaster recovery site? All the DASD are mirrored in real time after all. Coworker, ordinarily yes, but this controller failed in such a way that it corrupted the mirrored DASD too. #0000FF are not popular today. Also, Big Boss had all of us on site fixing it and even wanted us to call you on holiday, but we told him you were in Canada with no contact number. OP, I think I know, pretty much to the second, when that controller failed, and where I was at the time. After comparing notes, CW agreed. God only knows what Big Boss would have done even with a contact number, flown me and my family back to the UK and paid for another holiday?